Today is Monday, May 20th, and this is the ADM Investor Services Weekly Market Kickoff. Please note that the views and opinions expressed here today are solely those of our guests and should not be construed as the views or opinions of ADM Investor Services or ADM. Today's guests are Mark Soderberg, ADMIS Senior Ag Analyst, and Alan Bush, ADMIS Senior Financial Economist. Alan, looking at the precious metals markets, what is your price outlook for gold, silver, and copper?
Well, it still appears to look like these markets are all three headed higher. We had gold surging to a new record today, driven by growing optimism that the Fed will be cutting interest rates, most likely in September. That also supported the silver market. Also, there has been a safe haven demand for gold and silver. Also, with these new record highs, the rule of thumb is that once a market hits a new high level, that often there is follow-through strength. So I think that will be the case for the gold market. Also, we had silver trading to its highest levels since December of 2012, taking year-to-date gains to about 33%. Also, we have copper prices trading at record highs today, with the July copper futures advancing to almost $5.20 a pound. There's a very tight supply situation in the copper market. Also, there is very little coming online as far as new supply from mines. So it does appear that the fundamentals are all aligned to the bullish side for gold, silver, and copper, and follow-through gains appear likely for these three metals.
We'll continue to watch those, Alan. These markets are moving. Lastly,
Right.
or not lastly, Alan, when it comes to the greenback, could you please give our viewers your price outlook for the U.S. dollar?
Well, I'm not quite that enthralled with the long side of the dollar as I am with the precious metals and copper. The dollar index, which had enjoyed favorable interest rate differentials for much of this year, that has gone away now as central banks appear to be likely to be more coordinated this year in cutting their key interest rates. So that advantage is no longer there for the dollar, which means that we'll probably see the dollar index just trading sideways, and that would indicate or suggest that that trend is likely to be the same for the euro currency and the pound, just a sideways trade in the currency markets going forward.
Lastly, Alan, what economic reports have the most potentially market-moving impact this week?
Okay, well, we'll have the FOMC minutes from the previous Fed meeting. Those will be on Wednesday. On Thursday, we'll have jobless claims guessed at 222,000. Claims have recently increased, so claims which normally don't have that much market impact, I think will probably have much greater impact since they have started to come in higher than the guesses. And then Friday, we'll have the May Consumer Sentiment Index guessed at 67.4.
Good morning, Mark. Turning toward the grain markets, what will be the major influences on prices in the ag space this week?
Well, as we quickly approach the Memorial Day weekend, no major USA reports now for just over 3 weeks. I think weather is going to be the major story. And in my opinion, there's really three areas the market will be most focused on. First, here in the U.S., good rains this spring have considerably reduced the amount of U.S. cropland in drought. However, that has also led to slower than normal plantings this spring so far. I see corn plantings this week reaching 63% in this afternoon's crop progress report. That's just below the 5-year average of 71%. I've got bean plantings at 48%. That's in line with the 5-year average, however, below the year-ago pace at 61%. Heavy rains this week, particularly across the northern portion of the Midwest, I think will keep planting slightly delayed. However, at this point, I don't expect any major changes to the overall acreage mix or large amounts of prevent plant to lower the total acres. Second area of concern is in southern Brazil, where heavy rains are expected to return in Rio Grande do Sul later this week, once again raising fears of flooding and further production cuts. I don't think the USDA has fully accounted for the damage in their most recent production forecast in Brazil at 154 million metric tons. So ultimately, I look for production to be cut down to 150 or lower. And lastly, areas of southern Russia, eastern Ukraine, western Kazakhstan, they continue to experience drier than normal conditions, and this after some late spring frosts this year. So I think we're going to be looking at lower production estimates for all three of these European countries, further tightening global supplies.
And Mark, what are your thoughts on U.S. winter wheat production?
I look for slight improvement in U.S. crop ratings here this afternoon, despite some dry areas in far southwestern plains. I think overall conditions now are as good as they've been since 2020. I think the USDA production forecast is a bit too low for now. I look for production to rebound just over 1.3 billion bushels. That would be roughly 30 million above the current USDA estimate and would be the highest in 5 years.
Actually, Mark, when it comes to the grains, how are the large specs positioned? Any big changes in the CFTC data this week?
No, they really haven't. It was kind of quiet. There were, both money managers and index funds were net buyers in the ag space, and that's now for the fourth consecutive week. Money managers are still short the ag space. However, that short position is now down to only 39,000 contracts, and that's the lowest it's been since November of last year. While index funds, on the other hand, light buyers here this past week, they're long position now at 1.175 million contracts in the ag space. That's the largest it's been since September of 22, and up 33% from their cyclical low here in December. So, pretty healthy buyers here in the last month or so.
Thank you both. Remember, the views and opinions expressed today on this video are solely those of our guests and should not be construed as the views or opinions of ADM Investor Services or ADM. If you'd like more information about our brokerage services, would like to speak to one of our experts about managing your risks, or would like to open a trading account, please visit www.admis.com.